Welcome to Dunamis Woman and Ram today. I am Dee Collins and I am the host of this show, and I am so honored to be back with you. We are here for real talk, real life, real issues, yes, that we are experiencing right here in the body of Christ. And I am here with the one and only Dunamis Woman, and she is the co-host of this show, and she will be on this show, and you will see her on this show, and that will be Michelle Obasi. How are you, Michelle?
How are you? Thank you for having me. Thank you so much, and I so appreciate being here because this is real talk.
But you know what? If you wasn't real, you wouldn't be here.
Yes,
I'm going to let you know that right now. You definitely know that.
Trust me. I know you.
But one thing that I know is that we all have to walk worthy, as Paul stated in Ephesians, the 4th chapter at the first verse, with the profession of our calling, and we have to do that with love. We have to do that with a spirit of meekness. And there's some real things that are happening. And in the body of Christ, I will just be blatant to say it, is that we really don't want to address that. And I don't know why, but we're going to deal with those things because it's real talk, because we see things constantly perpetuating in our homes, in our community, in our churches, in our society, and in our country. Agree or disagree?
I agree.
Okay. Do you agree or disagree? I think you agree. Okay. All right. So the main thing is that one of the things that keep perpetuating, and we're hearing about it, particularly on our news, and we want to just be a news reporter.
Correct.
Okay, today. And one of that is what, Michelle?
Suicide.
Okay.
The Center for Disease Control reported that in 2001, over 300,000 people committed suicide and were successful in that. And in that same year, 120,000 people attempted, but was not successful. And the primary were women between 20 and 30 attempt, but not successful. But the men between 40 and 50, primarily white males who attempted suicide actually succeeded. That's a very high number.
That's a very high number.
It reminds me of whenever we have waves of economic depression, things of that nature, suicide is on the rise. That's reported. But suicide is daily. It goes unreported. And it goes misdiagnosed by the news or whomever. And it's covered up a lot. But it's something that has to be addressed because it is affecting us. And when someone commits suicide, it's not just that person, but they leave behind a family. They leave behind parents, children, but they leave behind the community. We were all purposed for a reason.
So it's kind of like grief.
It's grief.
Because when someone else dies, it leaves loved ones in a state of grief. And in a state of grief, something in you die. Because it was taken away from you. And the main thing is with suicide, you don't have the time to process that. You don't have time to prepare for that, shall I say, of someone leaving you. And it's very hard when someone leaves you, and you think you are prepared, when a loved one died. But when someone immediately, it's a shock to our consciousness. And it's a shock to our very self and our inner man that gives us a place where we have been damaged, particularly from a man's perspective, where we're damaged from a woman's perspective. The stats are very, very high, but it doesn't eliminate that is happening in the body of Christ. Because a lot of those numbers is not just what we considered people out there in the world versus, are you in the church? Because we know, and we're going to get into that in some of the other shows, about how pastors are committing suicide. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about suicide, because one of the things that we basically don't talk about in the church blatantly, suicide, money, and sex.
Correct.
I call it the SMS.
I like that.
SMS,
I like that.
And it's basically killing us because, it's thoughts and stuff that's going in our mind, and it's stemming from a whole lot of things. Okay. And we want to talk about that. So what is your historical view? God has gifted you to be a teacher, where you really gifted to teach history from a wide range of perspectives. So just from a historical view, because this is nothing new. And as we get into it, it's even suicide in people in the Bible. Go ahead.
I was going to start. Suicide is ancient. It didn't start with the pastor who took his life about a year ago. It was ancient. It is biblical. We have at least 3 known people in the Bible, and we will get to that, who committed suicide. But historically, especially in America, suicide sometimes happens, and it's. I want to debunk the myth that it's a mental illness. It really comes with depression and hopelessness.
It does. It does.
You know, and a lot of it has come, especially from males at 40 to 50, when there's economic issues that may lead them to adultery issues, that may lead them to gambling issues, that may lead them to other vices. But deep down inside is something that has not been it's not been resolved. Maybe from childhood. Maybe they saw something that tainted them from childhood that never was resolved in teenagehood. And as adulthoods, they weren't able to cope. And it manifests, we always say, with money. But it does typically happen around that, and it tends to make them go there.
And I believe it makes them feel less than really who they are.
Less than a man.
And the reason why I say that is because God created man. And for man's, the 2 roles that they automatically have been given is to be protectors and providers. You know, and when they feel short of that, that's why if a man, you know, predominantly in my experience, I'm not a man, don't have money in his pocket, or don't have provisions, you know, or don't feel like he's worth the protection that God has given them, or they have violated that in some way, they will harbor a lot of guilt, shame, and humiliation. You know, because they're living beneath the privilege of the dominion and the rulership that God created them, you know, and that's just them alone, you know. And when we were housed in man, we did not come from the dust, straight from the dust like man did, where God breathed into his nostril. God actually put man, as we know in Genesis, to sleep, and he created and he fashioned woman, you know, formed woman. So we were never ever supposed to experience any lack. You know, everything was created and made provisionary by God for man, for a woman, for a family, for children. And when this world system create crisis, women can handle crisis far greater than men can handle crisis.
We can. And it's when we don't have the covering. It's when we feel that we're not protected that it leads us to one attempt to take our lives, because that's for that hopelessness. I feel hopeless that no one is around, no one hears me. That voice, I'm not being heard. And historically, especially for Black women, I know that's where it has come. And see, suicide is not just blowing your brains out.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Suicide can happen gradually over years.
Almost definitely.
You know, a woman who stays in abusive relations is suicide.
It's suicide.
I want to die.
Correct.
But I want you to kill me.
Correct.
That's still suicide. And that typically is what happens to us as women. Or women who maybe dad was there at one point and they're 20, 30 years old and they're trying to find their way and they can't. And they don't have that covering anymore. You know, that hopelessness.
And then we go into destructive behaviors. You know what I'm saying? Compromising our body, compromising our heart, you know, settling for less than, for what we really know that we are valuable and what we deserve. We take on something just to have a man, you know what I mean? Knowing that the man might not be of the quality at this point in time, you know what I mean? For what we need to be the provisionary. And that's why you have women predominantly nowadays that are providing for the men, you know, if they're providing their car, they're paying the bills. And so then you get sick and tired of being sick and tired of being the provisionary, because it's out of order and it's never God's original intent. And so now you begin to slowly die of your true self on the inside. You know, that is a form of suicide.
It is. And that's the hugest myth, that suicide is just this quick and easy. You know, I just buried a grandmother who came from Mississippi, you know, and God knows what she went through. But just her lifestyle, you know, it was a slow death. She lived to 89, but it was a slow, strenuous death.
And holding it in and harboring the silence, you know, and holding those things in causes slow death, which is really, really suicide. God made us to be communicators.
Correct.
And the first communion should be between man and God. And that which man speaks to God and God speaks to man should be their method and their avenue for communicating with us as women.
Right.
And with that is safety, with that is life, with that is enrichment, and when we're not doing that and we're just talking based upon our own views, our own thinking, our own damaged places, and we're hurting one another. So we want to come right back, and I want you to look at this commercial because we have great things going on to bring you life back in your dead places. I'm Pastor D, and I'll be right back. I am taking this time to personally invite you, a woman of power, a dunamis woman, a woman that has strength, has a militance, have a force that is able to produce miracles after miracles after miracles. If you do not tend to you, my question is, who will? For far too long, we're looking for external forces and external things to do for us what we really have been designed to do for ourselves. And that's just take out some time. Take out some time from the hustle and the bustle. Take out some time from our responsibilities. Take out some time from serving in our home and in our churches and our jobs. And take out time that's carved especially for you to celebrate you. Well, the month of March is what has been commercialized to celebrate Women's History Month. And we're going to come in agreement with that. We're going to take time for me to celebrate you, you to celebrate me, and to celebrate a host of women that you don't even know. But this is the time for us to get to know one another. If you're an entrepreneur, it's a great time to network. If you are a businesswoman, it's a great opportunity to network. If you are a mother, it's a great time to network. If you are a wife, it's a great time to network. If you are single and unmarried and don't really care about ever being married again, guess what? It's a great time to network. So we want to invite you out on March 22nd. Dunamis Woman presents Lips. Lovely, intelligent, powerful, and sexy women. Get your sexy back. Get your power back. Get your intelligence back because you know what to do already. You just haven't made a decision to do it. And most of all, walk in your lovelyhood. You are a lovely woman. And if you don't think it, nobody else will. So we got a real awesome men panel that we're going to talk about dynamics of a relationships that we will never be robbed again from the true beauty and the power of what we created to be on the inside. Whether it be your father, whether it be your brother, whether it be your husband, whether it be your son, whether it be your nephew, we want real talk because there's some answers that are not just in us, but it's in our men. I am Dee Collins. I am the host. I am a Dunamis woman, and I look to see you there. Go to the website. It's right there on the screen. You got any questions, give us a call because I look to see you there right here in the city of Chicago, northwest suburbs. You'll be there and I'll be there too. Take care. Talk to you soon. Well, welcome back to Dunamis Woman and Ram. Today I am Pastor D, and I pray that you were very enlightened by that commercial because we definitely want to invite you out to our power-packed event that is only designed for you, first of all, to ignite your power. Second of all, to take back what the enemy has taken away from you, which is your power. You are lovely. You are intelligent. You are powerful. And Michelle, a Dunamis woman, truly is sexy.
Stop. You see my good side? Okay.
We are definitely that, And oftentimes, we are so busy handling life responsibilities that we lose ourselves.
We do.
We lose ourselves, and then our men are depending upon us to give them something that we really just don't have anymore. And then we go outside of strippers, men, drugs, betrayal, infidelity, and they harbor because they know that they're more than that. They know that they're faithful men. They know that they're men of God. They know that God created them. But that soulish ram has been so damaged, and the lack of communication, particularly with the woman, particularly with the mother, particularly, and they go out here and communicate with all kind of things that are not communicating back to them according to their origination.
Men and women, especially men, don't know how or why they were created, the original intent. Men, don't know the order of things that they're to commucate with God. And so when you say that, I'm thinking of men just fighting their fight in the flesh, not through the spirit, just out there trying to take it upon themselves to do and figure out when their real communication is with God. And then they'll be able to communicate with us.
Let's talk about Samson.
Okay.
Because I want to combat the thoughts right now that may be going through people's mind about what are they really talking about, because many people don't want to believe that this is true. That's the deceptive part. Samson committed suicide.
He sure did. We think of it as a noble act.
For real?
No, Samson committed suicide.
For real?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Samson was full of shame because he allowed himself to be taken by Delilah.
Correct.
For one.
Correct.
He knew who he was.
Correct.
His mother. Everyone. Knew who he was.
That's right.
He had a secret. He had a covenant, and he allowed a woman to come between what he knew was right, and that shame, and then being blinded, and then being humiliated. He took his life, and he killed everybody else in the process that needed to be killed, more Philistines than when he was alive.
Correct.
We know that noble story, but Samson took his life.
And although he still fulfilled the call of God that's on his life, for which he was mandated, but it was God's original intent for him to destroy the enemies and yet live.
Correct.
And not kill himself in the midst of destroying his enemies.
Correct.
When you talk about, I'm thinking about Samson, and the main key word is that he compromised.
He compromised.
He definitely compromised. Now, what did he compromise? And this is what we really, really don't understand, I believe. His mother gave him very, very much insight and instructions about who God said that he was and why he was created and for what purpose he was created.
Correct.
In his upbringing, she communicated that with him, but yet he grew up and went off in his own lust. And did the things that he wanted to do, yet he returned back as she reminded him. So what the dichotomy is that, first of all, many of our men are compromising from who they were created to be. Many of them have been told who they are, if not by their mother, which mothers lay a very good foundation, which is a woman. And men don't see their mother as a woman.
Right.
Because they're so busy looking at the mother, but it's the woman that can speak through her role of a mother. But now he compromising, do I go with this woman or do I go with this woman called Delilah? What I like to refer is the witch.
Yes.
Okay? Because for every woman, there's a witch in the midst that's trying to get their minds off of what their original purpose is.
Correct.
Strippers can play the role of a witch because the seduction, because of their mind, luring the men, is called seducing spirits, that they have opened themselves up prey. Prostitutes open themselves up prey, cheating and infidelity, knowing that a man is with another woman, such as a wife, but yet my seducing spirit wants to lure you into my bed, And Delilah was a beautiful woman.
Yes, she was.
So men are very visual, and they see and they become attracted because now they're going against what they have already known based upon that foundation that's been laid, and it's called compromise.
Yes.
So because he compromised who he really, really was, he had a hard time forgiving himself.
He did. He died out of guilt and shame, truly unforgiveness.
Yes.
And he was not able to forgive himself. And that was a slow death in itself. That
Correct.
compromise
Correct.
initially
Correct.
was that suicidal track. That's where it began for him. And that's how it ended. But you see how we in our minds, we don't want to believe and we cover it up and make it a gallant. And he did serve. But it was still out of the will of God that his life be taken in that manner.
Yes,
and
yes.
that suicide is out of the will of God, that your life be taken in that manner.
Let's talk about the mind. Because suicide starts in the mind.
It does.
Everything starts in the mind.
It does.
Every part of God's word is teaching us or giving us insight and instructions on how to govern our mind, how to lead from a mental standpoint. That's why Paul was admonishing the Romans that they be not conformed to the cosmos of this world system, but be transformed by the renewing of their mind, because their mind had conformed the damaged places in their heart to puff them up, made them think that they were good when they really, really was not able to surrender to God. We have to know that our minds have been jacked up. And what we have conformed to is not sustainable for us.
No, it's not.
It gives place to the enemy. So let's talk about the mind, because the playing field of our minds is really where the enemy comes. And anytime something is in your mind, it's going to come out through your behavior.
Yes,
Too often are we trying to change behaviors in the body of Christ, and we haven't renewed the mind, nor are we understanding the mind, nor do we speak our private minds. You know what I'm saying? We just talking, and we think because a person expressing themselves. 2 Corinthians 10th chapter. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. And then it also admonishes us through Paul's instructions to the church of Corinth, which was set in a town of whoredom. perversion. Very much lust was there where they were compromising, going back to that compromising their belief. And so he admonished them to pull down every thought, every noema, every perception that exalts itself against the knowledge of Christ. So everyone have the knowledge of Christ that has been embedded within them. We just don't have a difficult time letting that knowledge come up because other thoughts have exalted itself.
Correct.
And those are our weapons.
It is.
Those are the tools that have been filtrated in our mind.
And I'll get personal. I had, speaking of suicide, those thoughts. I was suicidal at one point. And suicidal, once you're suicidal, doesn't mean that you're going to remain suicidal.
Correct.
But you have to continuously continue those thoughts. You know, there's thoughts of God, thoughts of the enemy. And those thoughts of God have to be at the forefront. Because if not, I would have taken my own life.
Correct.
You hear, and it's not about mental illness and schizophrenia.
Girl, I'm about to put you on some medication.
Hopelessness. Don't put me on medication. You pray for me.
No, I'm just kidding you.
But
I'm just kidding.
It had to be, I really had to come to grips. And I couldn't do it by myself.
You can't.
I could
You
not.
can't.
I couldn't. Now, you speak about medication. The medication is that prayer and that getting in the presence of God.
Correct.
But it was me communicating.
That's right.
If I would have continued to harbor and kept it secret that I wanted to kill myself, I would have succeeded.
And you have to, Michelle, communicate.
You have to.
And I'm not talking about talking. It's a difference between talking and communicating. You know, and many of us are just talking. But it's an art and a skill to communication. And first of all, you don't always know how to deeply communicate, but from a therapeutic standpoint, it's a person helping you to understand your own thoughts, to bring them out from the deepest place of your soul. That's why Isaiah prophesied that the wonderful counselor was coming.
Right.
You know, he didn't say just the Messiah, because that counselor needs to be able to help you understand the very repressed thoughts that you can communicate.
Correct.
Time is winding up, but we're going to come back on next week because we want to get more and more into, first of all, the tools
Correct.
that are being used. Compromise is a tool. Humiliation is a tool. Guilt is a tool. Shame is a tool. Living beneath the privilege of who God has created you to be is a tool, because the enemy uses those tools against us. And those are the tools that we have the responsibility to demolish. Pull down those strongholds. And that's what it means, demolish them.
Correct.
Many of us are compromising because we're playing with the tools. We're dabbling with the tools, trying to figure this stuff out, when we have to become radical and just demolish them. We want you to give us a call. More information, coaching, counseling, empowerment hour, whatever we have here at Dunamis Woman and Ram today, it is specifically for you to become healed, delivered, and set free in the very crevices of your soul. I am Pastor D, and I could be reached at 1-855-BE-DUNAMIS. That's 1-855-BE-DUNAMIS. And if you don't want me, you got Michelle. If you don't want Michelle, we got somebody else. And if you don't want them, we got somebody else. We will find someone just for you, because that's just how much you are important to the kingdom of God. Be blessed, and we'll be back with you on next week. Thank you so very much, Michelle.
Thank you. I am Michelle Obasi. Again, you just saw me on Dunamis Woman and Real Awesome Men today. I was with Pastor D, and we were talking about suicide. And I did get a little personal at the end and tell you that I have had thoughts of suicide as early as childhood, thinking of killing myself, not wanting to be around, feeling ashamed because of a condition that I was born with. Also, as a teenager, feeling like the ugly duckling, and then as a woman. So the pattern of suicide and the thoughts have always been with me. But I've had people pray for me, pray me through things, not knowing. They just saw my depression. They didn't know exactly what I was thinking. I actually had a roommate in college who attempted to commit suicide, and I saved her life. And that was an eye-opening for me, to let me know that I am purpose and I'm supposed to be here. But again, those thoughts, once my divorce came, once infidelity came through, and then even recently, just thinking about, am I worthy to even be here? I admonish you not to be ashamed, not to keep it in secrecy anymore. If you have ever thought about committing suicide, taking your life, if you've ever felt hopeless or depressed or ashamed or any of those things, I want you to call the number that is listed below. I really want you to seek out counseling and seeking out help. Pastor D and I have been knowing one another for more than 3 years. And through the counseling that I've received, through the emotional healing that I've received, through the coaching that I received, I know now that I'm not fighting. Flesh and blood can't help me. I cannot fight this on my own. And I've learned strategies, and I've learned different ways to help myself. But it's only through God that you will be able to be healed from it's not a mental illness. It's that feeling of depression, that longing for something that you just don't know what it is. So again, I just admonish you to reach out and call the number below. And also, I want you to share your story with us. Dunamis Woman, a Real Awesome Men magazine, a dual cover magazine. I have been featured in the magazine. I'm now a columnist. And I speak against these things, and I speak for and I advocate for us who just really don't have a voice. If you're a teenager flipping through and you see me and you feel that you want to take your life, I want you to call 855-BE-DUNAMIS. I want to hear your story in the magazine. Maybe you can sit on the couch and also be interviewed for Dunamis Woman and Real Awesome Men today. Your voice is valuable, and I want your voice to be heard. If you're a divorced mother, single mother like myself, who feel that nobody has your back, that you're by yourself, even if you're a man like my father who lost jobs and different things of that nature, who just didn't feel that he was the man that he was called to be, or he couldn't take care of the family, so he left. Suicide does not run in families. It's a feeling of hopelessness. And a lot of us have learned to be hopeless through our circumstances, but we do not have to take our lives because of it. We are wanted. We are valued. We have been sent here for a purpose. We've been created for a purpose, and it's not to take our lives, but to live according to what God has called us to do. So again, dial the number below. I want you to call 855-BE-DUNAMIS. I want to hear your story in the magazine. I just want you to know that you're not by yourself. All right? Thank you.
Dunamis, Dunamis woman, woman. Dunamis, Dunamis woman. Releasing all miracles for the kingdom within me. Breaking through barriers. Success is what I see. Understanding my destiny and the power I possess. Exposing, empowering my greatness in the eyes. Dunamis woman, taking authority. Dunamis, Dunamis woman, over principalities. Dunamis, Dunamis woman, I am strong. Dunamis, relentless. Dunamis, Dunamis woman, woman. Dunamis, Dunamis woman. Releasing all miracles for the kingdom within me. Breaking through barriers. Success is what I see. Understanding my destiny and the power I possess. Exposing, empowering my greatness in the eyes. Dunamis, Dunamis woman, taking authority.